To Afghanistan now, where more than 100 security personnel and dozens of civilians were killed in one of the deadliest weeks in the country in years. On Saturday, 15 military personnel were killed in the capital, Kabul. Taliban attacks across the country have raised questions about Afghanistan's ability to deal with the militants. But Afghan officials say foreign powers are contributing with a worsening security situation in the country. And they're accusing Moscow of supplying arms to the Taliban. Afghan military commanders claim they have seized a number of Russian-made weapons and equipment from Taliban fighters. Taliban's predecessor, the Mujahideen, were originally founded to fight the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in the 1980s. But sentiment towards Russia has softened since the US-led coalition forced the Taliban from power in 2001. For more on this story, we're joined by Rahimullah Yusufzai. He's the editor of the News International in Pakistan. Mr. Yusufzai, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. My first question to you is, why would Russia want to help the Taliban?
You know, there is no doubt that there have been contacts between Russia and Taliban, and that has been happening for the last few years. But we don't really have evidence until now that Russia was supplying weapons to Taliban. There have been accusations, there were indirect comments, but this is the first time, I believe, that a direct accusation has been made that Russia is supporting Taliban. For Russia to support Taliban, you know, unofficially we have heard Russian experts saying that Taliban can fight the ISIS, and they don't really believe that the Afghan government can tackle Daesh, ISIS. So I think that makes them natural allies. Taliban have been fighting the ISIS in Afghanistan, and that seemed to be the major reason why Russia will be tempted to establish more contacts with Taliban.
But sir, Russian-made weapons, including night vision sniper scopes, were found and were retrieved among Taliban fighters. Doesn't that serve as evidence that indeed there is some sort of Russia help there?
You know, I think there is no shortage of weapons in Afghanistan. Russian weapons have been used in Afghanistan since the Soviet invasion of the country in 1979. And there are still stockpiles of Russian weapons available everywhere in Afghanistan. I don't know if any new weapons are coming or more sophisticated weapons are being used by Taliban now. But we know for a fact that, the Taliban have captured even American weapons from the Afghan soldiers. There also is weapons are being sold in the black market. So there are many sources from where Taliban can get their weapons. But I think if the Afghan government has got more evidence now that these weapons are being supplied, from, say, Central Asian countries through northern Afghanistan to Taliban, to places like Kunduz and Badakhshan and Takhar, which are very close to Tajikistan, and then Balkh, which is close to Uzbekistan. We don't know for sure about these things. So I think that, Russia will deny it. Taliban have been denying this, but the Afghan government now seems to be ready to accuse Russia of supplying weapons. So I think that's something very serious. And if the Americans and their NATO allies and the Afghan government, if they have more evidence, that will be required, because in the face of denials by Russia and Taliban, how to prove this allegation that indeed Russian weapons have been recently supplied to Taliban.
All right, Rahimullah Yusufzai from the News International in Pakistan, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World.